Melbourne, Australia's largest city and home to over 5 million citizens.
They've had 5 years to sort this out. What's the hold-up?
Millions of tourists come through the terminals of Melbourne Airport.
Victoria is reaching new levels of financial delinquency.
The Andrews government has put the airport rail project on hold.
Sort it out.
However, in the 21st century, there is still no train to the airport. Other cities across Australia have an airport train, including Sydney, Perth and Brisbane. However, setbacks and troubles arise as the government tries to link the airport to the CBD of Melbourne by train. It's seemingly impossible at this point to ever get a train to the airport. Will Melbourne finally receive a train to the airport? Across the globe, a train to the airport is actually standard. Basically, every major city around the world has a train connection to the airport. Brussels, Paris, New York, Shanghai, Sydney, Moscow, London, Toronto, Tokyo, Seoul, and so many more cities. So at the moment, to travel to the airport, you have really only 3 options. Option 1 is Skybus, which is considered the most popular choice. You must travel into the CBD and board the bus at Southern Cross, or you can catch one of Skybus's suburban loop services. However, since COVID, they have not been running these. The only one that's returned recently is the Peninsula Express. Option 2 is Metropolitan Bus Networks, routes 478, 479, 482 and route 901. However, these bus routes often take a long time as they go via suburban streets and stations. Option 3 includes your rideshare services, so these are your taxis, Olas and Ubers. So back in 2017, then Andrews government announced $10 million along with the federal government's $30 million to devise a plan for the rail link to the airport. However, this was not the only plan drawn up for an airport rail link, with many discussions happening as early as the 20th century for trains to the airport. More recently in 2018, the federal government announced it will be pledging $5 billion for the project. However, they also required the state government to provide an even 50-50 split on the price for the federal government to give the green light. And on July of 2018, the Victorian government announced it will be matching the federal government's contribution of $5 billion. Under this plan, the business case would be completed by 2019, and construction on the project would commence by 2022. And by 2022, early work had begun on the project, relocating critical infrastructure along the project route. The rail link was to start from Tullamarine, then to Sunshine and into the Melbourne CBD. Fast forward to 2020 and the route has been converted as part of the Metro Tunnel project. Trains will run from Melbourne Airport towards Sunshine Station, then diverting through the new Metro Tunnel and through the Melbourne CBD, skipping through the entirety of Southern Cross Station. The line will then use the existing track to continue to travel onwards towards the Cranbourne and Pakenham lines, vice versa. Today, the rail link has again been rebranded, now as part of the Suburban Rail Loop project, SRL Airport, which has drawn much criticism. New double track is to be built from Sunshine to the airport. Over 30 train stations across the metropolitan train network will have a direct train to the airport with no interchange required. These are the stations listed if you do enjoy a nice bedtime read. Sunshine Station will be provided a $1 million upgrade to transform it into a so-called transport super hub where more VLine services are available. It will become a direct link to suburban, regional and airport services. A new station at Keilor East is to be built, serving Airport West and Keilor Park. A new rail bridge will be built above the Maribyrnong River next to the existing heritage-listed Albion Viaduct and become Melbourne's second highest bridge, stretching 500 metres across and 50 metres high. Then Transport Infrastructure Minister and now Premier Jacinta Allen revealed the project designs of Melbourne Airport Station, revealing that it would be a skyrail design rather than an underground system. Skyrail can be seen across Melbourne and was chosen for the railing because it would be quicker to build, be dramatically cheaper, and cause less disruption. There would be a large 7-storey high building and the platform would be elevated and connected by a walkway to the airport's main terminals. The elevated design of the station would better accommodate the future suburban rail loop connection. The ticketing system used will be integrated with the Melbourne MyKeyCard system and is expected to be priced around similarly to the existing Skybus fares. However, as usual, the airport rail link has hit another speed bump. And by the November 2022 state election, the Victorian government announced that the suburban rail loop and Melbourne Airport rail link would be one project, which drew huge amount of criticism. During the election campaign, where promises and policies were thrown around, the government pledged the airport rail link would be completed by 2029. However, a year later in 2023, the federal government paused and revised all major infrastructure projects across Australia to rein in big spending, which included Melbourne Airport rail link. Pause was expected to last only 90 days, however, the review dragged on for nearly 200 days. This year, in the lead up to the May 2023 state budget, then Deputy Premier Jacinta Allen admitted there was slow negotiations with Melbourne Airport over the placement of the station and use of land at the airport, causing delays. The airport demanded that it only wanted an underground station. So here's a chronological timeline of the issues since 2023. On 1st of May 2023, the federal government had announced a 90-day review into the previous coalition federal government's infrastructure spending, warning some projects may be cancelled. On 17th of May 2023, the Victorian state government confirmed that the project would be temporarily paused and no new contract would be handed until the completion of the 90-day federal government review. Rumours began circulating that the state government had requested a 4-year delay in the project from the federal government. On 16th November 2023, the federal government announced that the project would not be axed and recommitted the full $5 billion and allowed the project to go ahead. However, the project is still not taking off, with the new Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen blaming delays over the failed negotiations with the airport on whether the station would be underground or above ground, saying,
"Those negotiations have been frustrating. For 3 years we have been attempting to negotiate with the airport on how we can best deliver the rail line and the station."
Melbourne Airport, which is a private entity, has and continues to object to the Skyrail proposal, calling for the station to be underground to allow further terminal expansion in the foreseeable future. Quoting, "Melbourne Airport rail link is an important project and important to get right. Our preference has always been and remains for an underground station. The airport station must be fit for purpose and future-proof so that neither the airport precinct or rail line are constrained as Melbourne continues to grow." Because airport land is regulated by the federal government rather than the state government, any station requiring a planning application is required to come directly from the airport. Melbourne Airport has stated that they would continue to advocate for an underground station, saying again, "Our preference has always been and remains for an underground station." Though, to give some credit to Melbourne Airport, both Sydney, Perth and other major cities around the world have airport trains that are underground, so not Skyrail. but Brisbane's air train is Skyrail. According to the Victorian government, by going underground it would be more expensive, saying their plan benefits taxpayers.
As soon as you go underground, the cost for this increases significantly.
The government is accusing Melbourne Airport of not being reasonable.
We've offered to give them a car and they're saying we want a Lambo. Like, no, sorry.
As far as disputes are concerned, this is a chaotic one involving the government versus the airport. In 2022, Melbourne Airport released their master plan for the next 5 years, which was endorsed by Catherine King herself. It included an exact location of the future underground station, right next to the entry of Departure Drive and opposite T4. The airport has said it has done the soil testing and it can be built, but the cost is unknown. The situation continues to evolve, with the Victorian government urging the federal government to step in and break the deadlock as the airport's landlord by pressuring them to come back to the negotiating table. The federal government is set to appoint a mediator. However, at this stage of recording, a mediator has not been appointed yet, but expected within the next few months. When asked about the completion date for the entire project, Federal Minister for Infrastructure Catherine King refused to label a specific timeframe.
I don't want to make the mistake of saying it's going to start on this date and we're delivering it on this date when we don't know that yet.
In order to gain support, the airport has been handing out community newsletters on its idea for an underground station to residents in the north and western suburbs of Melbourne. The airport continues to claim,
"We want this to move as quickly as possible and we are certainly not blocking the development."
This comes after Moonee Valley Council wades in, calling the airport to end the stalemate and, quote, drop impractical obstructionist demands for an underground station. Council Mayor Mike Tyson says Moonee Valley residents should deserve better.
All three levels of government are in agreement. Let's just get this done.
Mayor Tyson argues Moonee Valley is home to one of the highest proportions of airport and transport workers in the country, urging the airport to, quote, think about the community. While at the state level, Jacinta Allen has taken a new approach.
It's up to the airport to explain. The organisation that's not putting a dollar, they're not putting a dollar into this project, why they want to see a more expensive outcome.
So what do you think? Should the Melbourne Airport rail link be underground or above ground? Comment below or vote on the poll in my YouTube community tab, or head to @extraplus29 on Instagram to vote. Okay, so we're breaking news. It's like 9 PM at night and I just got word that a mediator for the airport and Victorian government, which they're in a dispute over the Melbourne Airport rail link. The mediator in place is Neil Scales, former Queensland Transport Department boss. He's set to meet with Melbourne Airport this week. He's going to try to negotiate it between the two. We really don't know how long the negotiations will last, but one thing's certain, we won't get a train to the airport this decade.
Today's all about building the transport system that Victorians voted for.
Sydney's got it, Brisbane's got it, Perth has just opened their rail link.
For nearly 70 years, talks of a train line to the airport have brewed. Governments came and went, pledged and promised, planned and funded, but nothing actually ever came to be. Will Melbourne ever get a train line to the airport? Will this attempt by the Victorian government succeed? Well, I guess all we do is just wait and see. Thanks for watching.
We're the debt capital of the nation.
A decision has to be made. Leadership has to be shown. Money has to be invested.
And the big build has become the big budget blowout.
And we are committing $5 billion.
The rail line to the airport will never, ever be built.
So back in 2017, funding to the airport cut. Wait, what are you even seeing? By the November 2022 state election, am I far? But wait for this train. Option two is and would be connected to the airport's main terminals. Wait, is that it? Yeah, and would be connected to by this one. Sunshine Station will be provided $1 million upgrade, where it will be transformed to a so-called transport super hub. Thanks for watching.